Hey guys, welcome to the channel and another video. Today I'm going to be watching Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan by Nicholas Meyer, starring William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and the rest of the legendary Star Trek cast. We're finally here, guys. This film has been recommended to me even before I watched the first film, Star Trek the Motion Picture. Some people have even told me to skip that movie straight up and just watch this. I couldn't do that, and I did end up watching the first film on the channel, and I did generally enjoy it, although it did have some issues. I do discuss those issues and what I liked in my review on the channel. Do check it out when you have the time. I'll leave a link up there somewhere. I know a little about this film though. A lot of my patrons told me it's a continuation of a episode called Space Seed from the TV show, and I should probably watch that before watching this. While I unfortunately couldn't get my hands on that particular episode, I did read the Wikipedia summary, so I'm not going to this completely blind. I do have an idea where Khan came from, who he is, and what he wants. He's a genetically engineered, super intelligent human with a god complex who was exiled by Kirk and the rest of the crew on a deserted planet after he tried to take over the Enterprise. I hope I'm right. I've also seen the character Khan in a recent reboot. I think he was played by Benedict Cumberbatch, but here he's played by Richard Montalban. Please correct me if my pronunciation is wrong. Anyways, I think Space Seed was meant to serve as a prologue, and I'm guessing the real story starts from here. Apart from that, I've been told that despite having a much smaller budget than the first movie, most people consider this to be the superior film, but we'll have to watch to find out. But before we get into it, to help support the channel, I have a Patreon page for full-length reviews and reactions to this movie and over 200 movies. 2 TV shows, early access, and weekly polls for what to watch next. You'll need your own copy to watch along. The link's in the description below. Please consider being a patron. Please subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon for instant notifications. Do check out my other videos. Like if you liked this video, dislike it if you didn't. With all that being said, let's get started. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Meyer, Shatner, Nimoy, and everybody else. Let's go. I already like the music. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. I've heard this film is more faster paced compared to the first one, especially that sequence with the Enterprise. It was like 10 or 12 minutes just slowly zooming in. But I've been told the context for that. Nobody's ever seen the Enterprise at that scale at that time, so I guess it makes sense. And this film has a much smaller budget than the first one, but apparently it's used more creatively. Ooh, Kirstie Alley. It's one of her first films. Interesting. And music by James Horner. Holy crap, I just watched Searching for Bobby Fischer, literally the previous film on the channel, and it was Horner who did the music for that too. No wonder I'm a fan of the music already. Nicholas Meyer. I don't believe I've heard of this director before. In the 23rd century.
Stand by. Project parabolic course to avoid entering neutral zone.
Man, it's so good to see the crew together.
This is the Kobayashi Maru.
The Kobayashi Maru. I know what that is, but I only know it from the reboot films. Where's Kirk though, and why isn't he the captain?
I'm aware of my responsibilities, mister.
I'm wondering whether this is a simulation because it's the Kobayashi Maru, and in the reboot films it was a simulation.
Alert.
Evasive action!
Oh? This isn't a simulation? Because they look like real explosions if you ask me. It is a simulation. Enter Kirk.
Any suggestions, Admiral?
Lights.
This is a test designed to fail, if I recall.
What about my performance?
I'm not a drama critic.
Was that meta commentary?
How we deal with death is at least as important as how we deal with life, wouldn't you say?
As I indicated, Admiral, that thought had not occurred to me.
That's something you get to learn though.
Wouldn't it be easier to just put an experienced crew back on the ship?
Galloping around the cosmos is a game for the young doctor.
Interesting.
Now, what is that supposed to mean?
It means you guys are old and they're looking for the new.
As I recall, you took the test 3 times yourself.
And he cheated.
Your final solution was, shall we say, unique.
There you go.
Happy birthday. Surely the best of times.
Is this around the time where Shatner had the big ego, or was it after the film?
Happy birthday, Jim.
What is it?
I don't know what to say.
Well, you could say thank you.
Thank you.
There's something weighing heavily on Kirk's mind.
Other people have birthdays. Why are we treating yours like a funeral?
Bones, I don't want to be lectured.
Is he bored of his admiral position? There's no adventure in his life anymore?
This is not about age. It's about you flying a goddamn computer console when you want to be out there hopping galaxies.
Yeah.
I'm your doctor, and I'm your friend. Get back your command.
Yeah, Bones he's always honest with him.
Does it have to be completely lifeless?
Chekhov, my bad.
We are dealing with something that could be perverted into a dreadful weapon.
But I'm a little confused as to what's really happening with this Reliant ship. Are they going to encounter Khan?
This is the garden spot to see the Alpha 6.
Right.
I can barely
I believe it is the planet where Khan was deserted, right? Yeah, you can tell the sets are much cheaper here. But thankfully it doesn't take away from the story.
Botany Bay. Oh no.
Chekhov realized that it's Khan's planet. Oh no. Quite the introduction. Along with the sinister music.
I never thought to see your face again.
Chekhov is probably crapping his pants.
I, on the other hand, am in a position to grant nothing.
Oh, he's so theatrical.
15 years ago.
And he's been marooned here for 15 years.
Never told you how the Enterprise picked up the Botany Bay, lost in space.
That's the story of Space Seed. I'm glad they're giving a little context here.
Never told you how Admiral Kirk sent 70 of us into exile on this barren sand heap.
In City Alpha 5 there was life, a fair chance. This is City Alpha 5!
They're on the wrong planet.
Why are you here?
Dude has super strength. Why put a handle in front of your spacesuit though?
Khan, listen to me.
Dude.
Khan, Captain Kirk was only doing his duty.
He's going to use these two against Kirk. You can tell that it's a fake ear, but okay, I'll take it.
Why are you here?
Enterprise welcomes you. Prepare for docking.
We are finally getting to see the Enterprise. And these are obviously miniature models, but they're so well done.
First training voyage, Mr. Preston.
Yes, sir.
The crew seems prim and proper,
Well,
but I feel like they lack experience.
Ishvengi, Komi.
Winga chlami buffet savikam.
Implying Vulcans are perfect. I wonder whether they reused some of the sets from the original film, because it does look pretty familiar. I like the detail on the Enterprise. You can see the panels, and some of them are different colors, showing that it went through some repair work. This adds a lot of character, not only to the story, but the ship itself. Like I said, I've been told this film has a smaller budget, but I'm not really noticing it, and I guess that's a compliment. The Admiral, he's just enjoying probably getting out of his office position. We're back on the Reliant, I guess.
Next time we'll design a bigger one.
We're en route to you and should be there in 3 days.
We weren't expecting you for another 3 months. Has something happened?
Chekhov is compromised.
Admiral Kirk's orders are confirmed.
Why don't you check with Kirk then?
well done, Commander. Lieutenant, are you wearing your hair differently?
Ah, Kirk.
It's still regulation, Admiral.
Why am I not surprised?
May I ask how you dealt with the test?
Does she know he cheated?
You may ask. That's a little joke.
Humor. It is a difficult concept.
For all Vulcans.
Who is taking Genesis?
I can see it, but I can't hear.
Carol.
Oh.
No one's authority.
Khan's jamming the signal.
We have a problem. Something may be wrong on Regular One. We've been ordered to investigate. You take the ship.
Jim, you proceed from a false assumption. I'm a Vulcan. I have no ego to bruise.
I like that. Respect.
Commanding a starship is your first best destiny. Anything else is a waste of material.
Same thing told by Bones.
Logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Oh, he actually said the line. That's an iconic line.
I'm assuming command of this vessel. Mr. Scott.
Aye, sir.
We'll be going to warp speed.
Aye, sir.
Warp speed.
We have escaped permanent exile on SETI Alpha 5. You do not need to defeat him again.
He tasks me, and I shall have him. Prepare to alter course.
Oh man, I'm really enjoying Khan's character.
What in God's name does it mean? Give it up to whom?
What is Genesis though?
Security scan approved.
I like that.
Summary, please.
Genesis is life from lifelessness. Matter is reorganized with life-generating results.
It's essentially a terraforming machine.
When we consider the cosmic problems of population and food supply, the usefulness of this process becomes clear.
What if this thing we use where life already exists?
It would destroy such life.
That's why it's dangerous. Oh, the music. It sounds sinister almost. Unlike the Enterprise, the lights are red on this. I wonder if that means anything.
Let them eat static.
Let them eat static. Was that a play on Let Them Eat Cake? Oh no.
Sir, get those shields up. Trying, sir.
They knew exactly where to hit us.
Who?
He wishes to discuss terms of our surrender.
Are they going to finally come face to face after 15 years? Khan.
You still remember, Admiral. I mean to avenge myself upon you, Admiral.
At least he's being straightforward.
Genesis.
Genesis, what's that?
Don't insult my intelligence.
Playing dumb, are we?
Clear the bridge.
Yeah, I think Kirk is intentionally stalling for time.
Reliance prefix number is 16309.
Sir, our shields are dropping.
Oh, it's working!
Fire.
Nice.
Fire! We can't fire, sir! Why can't you? They've damaged the proton control and the warp drive.
Oh
Space
no.
Station Regular 1, do you read?
They've also been captured.
General Order 15. No flag officer shall beam into a hazardous area without armed escort.
There's no such regulation.
Always with the rules. These Vulcans. These miniature models. Especially with the lighting from the back. And I have to admit, this film is way faster paced than the first one. I think they took their criticisms to heart. A jump scare.
Jim!
In a Star Trek movie.
Oh, God.
He put creatures in our bodies to control our minds.
Where are the Genesis materials? He couldn't find them.
Yeah, they're clearly compromised, staring into nothingness.
He blames you for the death of his wife.
I know what he blames me for.
Go? Where are we going?
Where they went.
On the surface?
Suppose they went nowhere.
Bones. He isn't too sure. Okay, so they're going to the surface of this lifeless planet. The Genesis?
Genesis, I presume.
Why don't they just destroy it right now, just to be safe?
You.
It's Dr. Marcus's son.
Where's Dr. Marcus? I'm Dr. Marcus.
Jim!
Is that David?
David, you're just making this harder.
I'm afraid it's even harder than you think, Doctor. Please,
I knew it!
don't move.
Oh.
You son of a bitch! Kill Admiral Kirk.
Really? Oh man, he's going to kill himself. That's so honorable. But somehow Chekhov. He survived. Ugh. Why did it come out though?
You're gonna have to do your own dirty work now. Do you hear me? Do you?
Man, he's really doing a good job with the character.
Perhaps I no longer need to try.
Oh no! They're beaming out the Genesis. They have it now. Man, I love this. But Khan is like super disappointed. What's with this David character?
Why didn't you tell me?
Dude, is David Kirk's son?
And I wanted him in mine, not chasing through the universe with his father.
Oh man, Kirk has a son! This is literally the first time this has been explored, right?
He's a lot like you.
Now the character of David makes more sense. He has to keep doing something, just like his father when he was younger. Wow. I mean, you can see the two sides superimposed on each other, but it's still fairly well done, I'd say. Yeah, it is definitely a painting.
Will you tell me what you did?
I reprogrammed the simulation so it was possible to rescue the ship.
Just like he did in the reboot movies.
He cheated. I changed the conditions of the test. I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
You of all people go by the book. Spock!
I think Kirk and Khan are very good counterparts because they both have a big ego. There's a parallel to both their characters.
Uh-oh.
Oh, they're both orbiting the planet.
Is all that static discharge and gas clouds our tactical display? Visual won't function, and shields will be useless.
The odds will be even.
Oh, smart. Going into that nebula so they're both on even ground. But it's also risky for the Enterprise. A nebula is a place where stars are born.
They are reducing speed.
This is Admiral Kirk. Tried it once your way, Khan. Now you game for a rematch. I'm laughing at the superior intellect.
You have Genesis. You can have whatever you... Full power!
Nice. His ego. I'm enjoying the creative liberties they're taking with the nebula, but a real nebula wouldn't look like this if you're on the inside. Oh, Horner's music.
Base and starboard!
Oh no, not again. Nice shot.
Fire!
Okay, now they're screwed. There's no coming back from this.
Enterprise to Reliant. You are ordered to surrender your vessel. Respond.
Oh man, okay.
The game's not over.
He still has the Genesis, right?
It's the Genesis wave.
We'll beam aboard and stop it.
You can't.
There's no time.
Are you out of your Vulcan mind? You're not going in there.
But he has to fix the warp drive. Dude. Is he actually sacrificing himself?
From hell's heart, I stab at thee.
Yeah, it's definitely from Moby Dick.
Sir, the mains are back online.
Bless you, Scotty.
Go, Zulu!
Wonderful explosion. Wait, did it somehow create a planet from that explosion? That would make sense, I guess.
You'll flood the whole compartment.
He'll die. He's dead already.
Well, he can't be dead. Didn't they recreate this scene in one of the reboot movies?
I have been, and always shall be, your friend.
This is surprisingly emotional. Oh man, they're actually showing him dead.
No.
Dude, there are like at least 2 more Star Trek films, right? Because I know there's a part 3 and 4. So they have to bring him back somehow.
This death takes place in the shadow of new life.
Scotty's in the background with bagpipes. How appropriate.
Of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, his was the most...
He's choking up. But Spock's story arc here is very well written. Kirk's story arc here is very well written. Both of them deal about death and aging. There's actually stuff to discuss here.
I was wrong about you.
Is that what you came here to say?
Nothing about him being your son.
Very proud to be your son.
There it is. I hope they bring him back for the sequel.
There are always possibilities, Spock said.
They left Spock here. I'm sure they'll come back for it somehow. I don't know how, but I can't wait to find out. Oh! Yeah, this was the far superior film. I can't wait for the next one. I can't wait to see how they bring Spock back. Okay, I took some time to collect my thoughts. First off, I really enjoyed this. This was clearly an improvement over the first film. This one didn't feel pretentious or overbearing by any means. It had proper story arcs for Kirk, Spock, and of course, Khan. Horner's score here was excellent. The smaller budget was smartly utilized. The CGI was kept to a minimal, which is great. The pacing felt very good, but most importantly, the story itself was captivating, especially the themes explored, like the Genesis machine, ego, friendship, aging, and death. The only criticisms I have, I believe they don't have anything to do with the story here. I probably wanted to see more of Khan's character and his crew because I found it extremely interesting. And the other was the fact that we didn't get too much screen time with characters like Bones or Uhura. But then again, I do understand why they felt like they needed to do that. The first film did in fact feel bloated, especially the first half. So they wanted to streamline the process. So I understand. Regardless, let's start with the directing by Nicholas Meyer and the script by Jack B. Sowards and Harv Bennett. So this wasn't a continuation of the first film, which I felt was a good thing because, you know, it wasn't that well received. So they chose to continue the story from an episode of the show called Space Seed, and that was a great choice. Although I feel like some audience members might feel a little lost, a little isolated at the beginning, not having watched the episode. I'd say the movie does a fair job with the exposition and bring the audience up to speed fairly quickly. I'd like to start with Khan, Richard Montalban's character. I thought his character was extremely well written and portrayed. He felt egotistical, almost maniacal, revenge-driven, and almost theatrical, if that makes any sense. He had clear motives. And even though he was smarter than Kirk here, his ego and pride were his downfall. His need for revenge outweighed his need to serve his people. Quite the opposite character to that of Spock or Kirk. William Shatner's Kirk here was excellent as usual. And I believe his incarnation in this movie might have been his best so far. His usual ego and, I don't know, his suaveness, it was all there as evidenced by Kobayashi Maru. But the difference between his character's ego and Khan's is the fact that Kirk's ego is kept in check by his wonderful crew, especially Spock with his logic and Bones with his honesty. Speaking of Spock, I felt like his character was a little bland in the first 20-25 minutes, you know, giving Kirk control of the Enterprise. But by the end of the film, I was proven wrong. He taught Kirk the value of life and sacrifice. But not only that, killing Spock off at the end was a real surprise, narratively too. I did not expect that. I'm sure he'll be back. He has to be back since there are at least 2 more movies that I know of in this film series. I wonder how they plan to bring him back though, because it seems like he actually died for real. They had a whole funeral, but we did get to see his body on that protoplanet. I guess we'll have to wait for part 3 to find out. A quick mention goes out to the Genesis machine that was shown here. It's quite obvious that it was inspired by real science. The idea of Genesis itself, terraforming a planet for humanity's needs, there's a lot to unpack there. That's something that we as a species still aspire to. Hopefully one day we'll get there with terraforming Mars, not with a magical Genesis machine though. The real thing will take thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years to achieve. Another thing is the fact that the movie was very quotable, from the needs of the many to Captain Ahab from Moby Dick. I finally understand why this movie is still held in such high regard. The themes explored were definitely worth talking about, discussing, especially aging and death, something central to the plot. At the start, Kirk was worn out and feeling old, and by the end, inspired by his friend's sacrifice, he feels rejuvenated and wants to continue his adventures. Both story-wise and thematically, this was a very strong movie. Great job by the writers and the director here. The editing of the movie felt surprisingly well done too. It didn't feel too long or overbearing like the first one. That actually means they listened to criticisms of the first film and improved upon it. It felt well cut, tight and concise, although I do feel like exploring the crews of the two ships would have fleshed out the story even more, would have made us relate to the secondary and tertiary characters. For example, Khan's crew, we only got to meet one of his first officer person. I don't even remember his name, but I wish I knew more about them, if that makes any sense. I wish we got to see Khan interacting with them even more, seeing the dynamic between them. I wanted to know more about them and how they survived being marooned on a planet like that for 15 years. I have the same feeling about the crew of the Enterprise too. I hope to see more characters like Bones or Uhura and their interactions. I don't know. This is not a big criticism by any means, as I really enjoyed the movie overall, but I guess that's how I just feel. The other aspects of production were also commendable, especially considering the smaller budget, the fact that they had much less money to work with means they had to get really creative with the special effects. The CGI was kept to a minimum, and the movie was better off for it, I think. I rather enjoyed practically made sets and the effects, like the interior of the ships or the explosions or the compositing work done on the backgrounds, the background paintings, and the seamless nature of the real stuff that was superimposed on it, if that makes any sense. I also felt like the props were very well made, and although not everything looked real, it didn't affect my viewing experience in any way. Finally, a big highlight of the production was James Horner's score. I thought he did a great job with the music here. It sounded adventurous at times, and at other times it was thrilling and unexpected, quiet. Horner is really becoming one of my favorite composers, and I'll definitely be checking out more of his work. As I've already talked about my criticisms, overall, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan was an excellent film, an improvement over its predecessor in almost every way. The story was compelling, the concepts explored were and still are relevant, like terraforming, aging, friendship, ego, and death. Horner's score was memorable, most of the performances, they were solid, and the characters were very well written. Despite the smaller budget, this was clearly a better made film. William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and especially Richard Montalban gave excellent performances, and the twist involving Spock at the end was a real surprise. I'm eagerly looking forward to seeing how they bring him back. This was the best Star Trek film I've seen so far, and I highly recommend it. Anyways, thank you for watching. I have a Patreon page. Consider being a patron. Subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon for instant notifications. Do check out my other videos. Like if you like this video, dislike it if you didn't. I will see you in the next one. Bye.